on Twitter, all the rest. Oh. Alright. Alright guys, I am live on YouTube. Just about to put this out there as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna follow any prod podcasts. Alright. Done and dusted.
So then I guess it comes down to because I mean I actually wouldn't mind if we have a bit of a topic on Tyler Brown for a bit actually, because I
Yeah.
feel like he's a bit of a interesting one depending on who rocks up in the chat and things like that. But like where do you see him when it comes to the next season?
Well, I hope he plays midfield. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, but he's not. I don't think he. Oh, I mean, he's had a few years now, so maybe he might be. But you know, he needs to play the role that he needs to play. He needs to develop himself more physically, and until that happens, I just can't see him doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But in saying that, he can change his role because I feel like he's trying to be like an inside mid sort of thing, or like a not like an inside mid maybe, but like because he's kind of got the body of like say like a Jack Crisp, but he doesn't have the difference between him and Crisp is Crisp's kicking is basically elite, and I just don't think that he has that yet. So he either develops that into his game, but even maybe some like a Chris Main type of role, where he's sort of like a defensive winger or like defensive mid sort of thing. Maybe
Yeah.
that could be an okay, but then if he's going to be matching up on anyone, like, can we put essentially the faith into him to do his job when it comes to keeping a player in the forward six, like a player quiet sort of thing when he needs to play defence? And he probably can, but yeah, it's something that we haven't seen yet, so it's hard to know if he can do that, if that makes any sense. But so in terms of Tyler Brown, Kev, do you like where do you rate him? Do you think he'll be similar? Like, do you think he can like? Just trying to think. Like,
I think he's a 2025 disposal player, probably VFL as much as anything. I think he might play AFL footy, but that does depend as well.
yeah. Do you think that this is the season where we've got to have? Because I think every player needs to have, unless if they're like, you know, as I said, like first round or similar to what like a Jaden Stevenson was, like every player, and obviously he's the exception to the rule, but I feel like every player has to have a bit of time so they take their time to naturally develop, like their skills. But I think with Tyler, like I swear he's like 20. If he's not 22, he's like probably 21. But do you think this is the year where we've got to? This is his final year of like development. Do you think?
I think so, because I don't know why. It would be
22,
definitely
there you go.
harder. Yeah. Oh, 2 people watching. Thank you, guys.
And he's a fresh 22 as well. He had a birthday in December.
Yeah, I think he does need to take the first step as well, and absolutely start playing as much as possible.
Yeah. Actually, now I'm curious to know how old Cal is. Because I feel like people think that Callum's a lot older than what he is. Yeah, 23. Oh, he's going to be 24 in April. So yeah, so even with Cal, like he's actually not as... Because I feel like people treat Cal as if he's like 27, 28.
I think he needs to. I think he needs to start stepping up. He really does.
Oh yeah, he does. But I think even like last season, like he had his injuries and you know, I feel like when it comes to Callum Brown that, you know, like he had that game where he was in the VFL and because especially with like Fly, like he's going to, because I feel like he's gonna, Fly seems like the type of coach, and obviously we're not gonna know how he thinks or what he does till we really see him, you know, in the season like week to week. But the fact that he has gone out of his way to mention tackling and pressure a lot, I feel, I just really get this feeling that Cal Brown's going to be like a you know, like a big like coach's pet, if that makes it, well not coach's pet, but like he's going to fall in love with like someone like a Cal Brown a lot quicker than most players.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I personally, like I really hope that he does get the opportunities that he deserves and stuff. Because yeah, and even then, like I mean, he could technically work on his forward craft, I guess, to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, like as long as he's like, because to me, I think he should be like a backup for like a Taylor Adams.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him how he goes in the forward line, and he can kick goals, but he's shown when the pressure is on, especially in that fourth quarter, he just doesn't. You know, he just can't really like get it done when it comes to having that set shot. And you know, the amount of times like we've had like the game's been in the balance and. You know, we need him to kick a goal and, you know, he's, like, missed. But I think that's probably where Fly will come in and will say, well, no, that's not your job to kick goals. Your job is to be in the middle and, as I said, like, I think full evolution, if that makes any sense, is to be that sort of Shane Edwards sort of type from Richmond.
High sports god, yeah.
You know, that's where I think he's going. And how Buckley was sort of treating him as this like mid-forward sort of hybrid that just was a mid-forward.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where we did go wrong with Cal.
Yeah, probably.
And hopefully if I can identify that and we can actually just look at it and go, okay, well no, like you're just going to be similar to how Shane Edwards sort of plays.
Yep.
Because even with, I don't know if you want to talk about the AFLW much at all, but like I've been really, even though from a stats point of view she hasn't done too much, but I've been really loving Sabrina Frederick playing for us.
I have liked her, I think, and yeah, I know Sports God as well. The problem I had in that game, were you there for that game or not?
Yeah, I was there.
My problem was we just couldn't hit our targets when we had the ball moving forward, and when we did, it worked to a treat. But the way that we were just blazing away and not being able to be smart with our ball movement. One thing I did say in the preview, because I managed to watch the whole game yesterday, because I knew I had basketball, so I couldn't really make a comment on it. You know, it's hard for me to make to review a game that I did not watch. Because then that would be a false guide. But looking at it, our handballing game, our short kicking game, when we got that ball moving, we were good, but we did not keep the ball off Fremantle. They're a good attacking team, they're a good defensive team. And trying to play attacking against Fremantle, you can't have a high scoring contest against them. You have to make sure when you're playing against Fremantle is that you take the ball and you keep the ball in possession and you play patient football.
Yeah.
And the only way
it's actually really funny you say that, actually, because when I was actually at the game and stuff, I was actually even saying to myself, like, Jesus, Buckley coaching today? Like, it was just so... there was a lot of Buckley-like things that were happening in that game. And, yeah, I think he actually really nailed it on the head, because, like, there was a lot of things that we had done so well the previous games and we just weren't doing. Like, we just went for such a more simpler game plan when you could just tell that even with the players, like, the players were more than capable of having a more complex game plan, if that makes any sense.
And if we played... Well, I'm not hating on Fremantle at all. Hi, Shannon. Absolutely not hating on Fremantle at all, but they're a good team. But good teams like Fremantle, they took our strengths away, the way that we wanted to play. And I just thought that we needed to be a bit more patient. We needed to get them on the turn, on the overlap as quick as we can. But I also know that if Fremantle get the ball, then they're going to score regardless.
Yeah.
How do you... What's the run rule that, teams like Geelong do, and Hawthorn, under Alistair Clarkson, they keep the ball away from you. Because the more marks they have, the better it is. It's the same thing with Richmond. If you pressure Richmond and do Richmond things like, and you keep the ball away from them and you take those uncontested marks, they can't stop that. But to our lowest score for the season in AFLW history, that's a bit embarrassing. And I know it's one game and the girls had a down week, but to be honest, I don't know if we're going to beat Brisbane or not. That's going to be a tough one. but we do need to perform a lot better than what we did. We know what Brisbane like to do. They had a close win against Geelong today, so they did what we did. Yeah, and their games, like, you know, we should be able to win those games regardless. But I just think now that we have to be switched on. Brisbane like to be attacking. They like to use that quick play on. They've got a good structure enough to really beat us. And if we don't respond, then we are in trouble. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head, to be honest.
Because Brisbane and Adelaide, as well as Fremantle, worried me a little bit. Like, I thought we would win, but I thought it would be close. I wasn't expecting that type of performance. But with Brisbane and Adelaide, the way that Adelaide looked good against Melbourne, wow, that's just, you know, that's going to be tough. If Adelaide was playing Fremantle, you might have to pick Adelaide, because no offense to Fremantle, but Adelaide are a superior team over Fremantle, and I think that Adelaide can have a couple good players beat down and they still find a way to get the job done. They're not relying on Aaron Phillips.
Yep. Yeah, but at the same time too, like, we can also take away from this as a massive learning experience as well.
Oh, we have to now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the fact that, and I don't know, it's always hard to know, like, how teams take wins and how teams can take losses, because I feel like it can be up and down for both sides if you know, win or lose. But sometimes you do just need that loss just to get back onto the drawing board. Because it was good to get those 3 wins out of the way, because they were the more, I don't know if they were like the 3, like, quote unquote, like, bottom teams, but...
Well, Carlton are, for start. They're not a top 6 team.
Yeah.
The only team that I reckon that are is like someone like Fremantle, and that's it. I don't think St Kilda are that type of team. I don't think Carlton, Geelong are that type of team. I think it will take them a couple years to at least be up there. Bulldogs had a disappointing loss against Giants.
Yeah.
And Bulldogs are normally like a top 6 team or just outside.
Yep.
But it should be interesting.
As anticipated, plenty of talking points so far, and now the second half is underway.
Yeah, so, like, the fact that we had our first test, and, like, it was, I mean, that 4th quarter was a bit disappointing, to be fair. And then the fact that we, as a whole entire game, we only kicked that, I think we only kicked 1 goal, 1.
Yep. Did you
know,
save
like,
the whole game, or did you thought, yeah, no, I'm out of here?
No, I always stay to the end. In fact, I'll even go as far as to say that I really don't like people that, like, especially, yeah, I just even at all, like, I just don't like people when they leave early. And I'm pretty strong on that stance too, because, yeah, like, it's not that they're not, like, a true supporter or anything, but I really hate, was having people having opinions when it comes like footy or things like that, and then, you know, they're the ones that are like, once the going gets tough, they're the first ones to piss off, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be, not that it's like too much of a deal or like that big of a deal at the end of the day, but I do sort of like have thought, I do think things like that at times where I'll see just a comment that's just not very, how do I explain it, like very informative, and then I will just think, oh, are they the type of people that would leave halfway through the fourth quarter because they're down by 4 goals or 5, 6 goals?
4 goals, I wouldn't. I would stay. But if it's like 5 minutes to go and it's just like you're 40 points down, it's just like, well, you know you're not going to win. Like, you know you're going to. Like, I
stay because you stay because you're supporting the club and it's like a...
Because I stay like for the Essendon game and the Giants game, as well as, what do you call it, the St Kilda game. I stay for the whole game as well. And the Giants in 2019 as well. Hey, Tom.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely the type of person where if you go to a game, and you sit your ass down at the game, you do not go till that final siren goes. Like, once the final siren goes, yeah, you can go and run, sprint, whatever, out of the ground. But, I mean, obviously, you know, yeah. But, yeah, but the fact that, yeah, I mean, and then obviously for the obvious, like, obviously I go and get, like, food and stuff, like what you do, like, at the footy and that, but, no, I'm the type of person where you gotta stay there till that final siren, but, you know, as long as you stay there till the end of that fourth quarter and the siren goes, then after that, then that's fine, but I don't think there's ever been a game, like, ever, where I've left early. I've thought about it at times, and I think at least every supporter's thought about it, but I don't think I've ever left early or left, like, got off out of my seat with the intention to leave when there's time on the clock. Or there's, like, say, 2-3 minutes left on the clock. I've never done that.
What happens if there's 40 seconds left?
You just wait the 40 seconds. Like, because it's just, I don't know, for me personally, I treat it as, and mind you, and as I said, like, I'm happy to have a conversation about this and go back and forth, but it's like, I think it's just, for me personally, I always like to stay back. Oh, did he? Oh, okay, I didn't know that, actually.
Congratulations, yeah, I didn't even know.
But yeah, like, it's just a sign, is it? Anyway, it's just to show, like, a little bit of, like, respect and just a little bit of, like, you know, we're here for all the times, not just the good times, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'll support them no matter how bad they're losing. Like, I'll watch a whole game at home on how far we're down. That was me, like, last year when we were in lockdown. It's just like, well, I have to watch it because obviously, like, I want to know how bad the review's gonna be. And, well, like, to be honest, like, when you do reviews of games, like, you can tell what the team was doing wrong and that sort of stuff. But yeah, like, this year I can definitely feel the roses happening as well. And Tom, I had an argument with the Carlton support on Twitter. So I don't know if you've seen it yet, but when you do, on.
He can't quite take advantage.
What was actually the argument? Because I don't think we ever got into that, actually.
Okay. Oh,
At least, I'm sure it's not as bad as what I got from my guy.
You know how that Giants player decided to pull out because of the religious side of it? Because of the faith?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I think he did mention that, yeah. Oh, but you didn't say what the comment was it?
There's a few. Hang on.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I'll let you look up the comments.
So
and,
there's heaps of comments here, and I absolutely blasted this guy. So I'm defending blatant homophobic. You're just exposing yourself as a racist. The Ike's chamber. I said, mate, I'm not racist at all. It's not about being hate against gay people. Everyone should feel like they can say, I don't want to wear a pride against it because of my beliefs, and it's my religious beliefs as well. I'm sure there are some players who are religious themselves pull out, which is true. Like, we all know that, what's his name?
but just to cut you off there, because I feel like this needs to be said. Sometimes people will pull out, but they'll say, oh, so-and-so did a hamstring or something, like at training or whatever. Like, I feel like if someone's going to not play, I feel like the club finds a way to cover it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Which can obviously, muddy the waters a fair bit at that point, because it's like, oh, did this player really do a hamstring? I don't think we ever want to go into that territory, but I mean, even when the whole news that came out when Taylor Walker said what he said, I don't want to be like that sort of tinfoil hat type of person, but I find it really, really interesting that you have guys like Tip and Woody, even Isaac Quainer, a lot of Indigenous players pull out.
Yeah, well, that's
and
fine.
Even though all of them was, I think Tip and Woody was personal leave. But the fact, by even Quainer, how he said he had glandular fever and stuff, like, not to discredit, it's kind of ironic, but like, it's sort of, I don't want to sit here and say that he never had it or anything like that, but at the same time, I just find just the timing of it to me just seems very odd. And obviously, for me, I obviously want to make sure that, if we are going to go forward with these sort of things, that, I'd rather, if we're going to be inclusive, we need to be inclusive of everybody.
Yeah, not just
and not just the flavor of the week, flavor of the month is, if that makes any sense.
And here's what else I said. If you can't accept that, because there's a lot more that I said on here. If you can't accept that people have the right to say, no, I'm religious, I don't want to wear due to my religion, or I feel uncomfortable, that's on you. I accept AFLW player who doesn't want to wear pride against or Indigenous player, it's a player's choice to bully. Because basically, he even tried to, had a go at me and, try and say, how dare you sort of type thing defend someone like this. And he even said homophobic, and I said, no, because I said to him, no, it's not. If you follow religion, then you'll follow your religion. Nobody should be forced to wear pride Guernsey or Indigenous Guernsey if they don't support it. Keep politics out of sport. And I think at that point, he said, and this is what I said, this is what he said, so you're allowed to be homophobic as long as you're religious. I said, it's not about being homophobic. Everyone can choose if they want to be a part of it or not. Freedom of speech. You can't decide. Freedom of speech. You can decide, I don't want to wear pride Guernsey or wear Indigenous Guernsey if you don't want to. Same thing taking a nil. You don't have to do it. And that's what, so he's saying, that's when those comments come up. So the ones I just read out. So the guy's a freaking idiot. So for what I get out, or what I gather out of that, it's just like, okay, well, you're bullied. So if you decide you don't want to do anything, oh sorry, then you're homophobic, you're a racist bastard. So that's the vibe that I got out of him, and people like that can go get fucked. As simple as that. And I will talk about that too. I know I went on bit of a rant, but I will be talking about that as well. Part of it, like if we at the end of the day, politics like that should be kept out of it. Really should be. There's no need to. If you're going to celebrate Pride Round, fine, but don't have a Pride Guernsey, because if a player doesn't want to do it, why can't they just wear the normal Guernsey? And that's it, and make them feel obliged that to be part of the team. That's as simple as what on what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, I just find it very ironic how you go out of your way to be so inclusive, but then once you're inclusive to one part when another part is not as, because, it is a part of their religion. As much as, personally for me, as much as I disagree or agree when it comes to things like that, I'm still not going to, I'm still going to have my opinions regardless, but at the same time, I'm not just going to, I still fully agree to the sense that, people need to have their opinions and their thoughts, and have that be their opinions and their thoughts, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
If you want to, hypothetically, if you want to be a Muslim and, you want to practice that religion and, and that's the way you think that you need to go about life, then go for it. But if you want to go about it another way or whatever, you go and do that too. It's, as long as we're all having the conversation and sort of opening ourselves up for dialogue of, okay, I think this is this way because of how I feel and this is the way I feel, sort of thing, rather than, oh, I am this religion or I am this, even if it's the atheist, it's oh, I'm an atheist because I think this way. If someone comes in and says, well, I'm, say, Christian and I think this way because of this, having the conversation is so much more important than